Hello, and welcome back to another video on this channel. Today, I'm going to be starting a new series, something new that we're doing here, and that is discussing or talking about Dostoyevsky. In this series, I'm going to be introducing you to Dostoyevsky, the writer, the context, and also Dostoyevsky's works. I'll be making a video every Saturday on Dostoyevsky's works if possible, and this would also replace the Saturday verse of the day video. So I'll be still doing verse of the day from Monday to Friday, but on Saturday I'll be doing Dostoyevsky reviews, or I talk more about Dostoyevsky in a more academic way, and on Sunday I'll do my debate reviews. So with that slight context or talking or admin things out of the way, let's get into today's video. And today is a question, or it's me trying to help you with, should you read Dostoevsky? Because the answer, if you watch my videos, you'll know that I deeply love and enjoy the works of Dostoevsky. I think they're very profound and very helpful, and you might think the answer is very clear-cut and that you all should read Dostoevsky. But I do not think it is such an easy issue to discuss, because in my opinion, while it's definitely great to read Dostoevsky, Dostoevsky isn't for you, or isn't for you in your process with Christ or your process in literature and philosophy, Dostoevsky might not be the best book to read as of now. And of course, this is a Christian channel, so I'll be focusing more on the Christian aspects of should a Christian read Dostoevsky in this stage of their walk with Christ. But this also applies to everyone who is an atheist or not a Christian or a Muslim. Dostoevsky's works are applicable to everyone, and I always recommend everyone to at least get a brief understanding of his works. And that's why I decided to make this video, or to start off this series. Should you read Dostoevsky? And the answer, I think, is at some time in your life you would want to read at least one or two works. But right now, depending on where you are, you might want to read Dostoevsky a bit later. And the reason for this is because if you're a starting Christian, or you're really worried about the problem of suffering, or you don't really like reading extremely long books, Dostoevsky might not be the best writer or the best novel to get started with, because to be honest, we don't read Russian. Most of us don't read Russian, and most of the books that we read of Dostoevsky would be the English translation. And I think that while the English translation is indeed very good and really represents Dostoevsky's works quite well, it isn't the direct, raw Russian literature, and sometimes it can feel a bit wordy, it can be quite long, and even if it is the original Russian version, it is quite a massive book. Crime and Punishment is like, I can't remember, 900 something pages. The Idiot's like 900 something pages. Demons is like 700, almost 800 pages. So you can see that Dostoevsky is a significant commitment to read. If you want to read Dostoevsky, you're really in for the long run. And it's also very difficult to finish reading the books, or it's very difficult to start the books and not finish it, because the story is like climbing a mountain. Once you start climbing it, it's very important that you finish it. In the same way, Dostoevsky, you have to read the entire book to fully understand his arguments, fully understand what he's talking about, and fully understand his ideas. So you might be wondering, why do I say that you shouldn't read it if you just started off with Christ? And it's not to say that Dostoevsky is a bad book or a bad influence to Christianity, definitely not. To me, Dostoevsky perhaps influenced my walk with Christ the most, apart from maybe Tolkien. But the reason why I'm saying this is because Dostoevsky's problems, his discussion on suffering, his discussion on evil, his perhaps more not really anti-Christian, but atheistic arguments are indeed so powerful that it might shake your walk with Christ. And an atheist might look at this as saying, you're just being dishonest, you're not trying to produce, or you're trying to hide away some Christians from the most powerful arguments. But that's not exactly what I'm trying to do, because definitely, as I've said before, you should read Dostoevsky, or at least some bits of Dostoevsky somewhere down the line. What instead I'm saying is that you should wait till you've finished or developed your other parts of your theology, your other parts of your philosophy first, before you then return to Dostoevsky. And the reason for that is you don't want to shake your groundings before you have a full defense, or at least a sufficient defense to such attacks, because while of course you don't want to hide yourself away from your arguments forever, it would also, the flip side is also correct. You don't want to open yourself to arguments before you're fully prepared to debate it. For example, it would be unfair for me to challenge my cousin who's 5 years old or 4 years old in a philosophical debate. And that's not because I am not presenting the full strength of the opposition argument to her. It's just that it is not a fair or not a proper way to go around doing philosophy or discussing, and it would not be best for her development. In the same way, if you just started off with as a Christian, it might not be the best book to start off with Dostoevsky. You could talk about something like Tolkien or C.S. Lewis, which also struggles with suffering, but to a lesser extent. And it subconsciously tackles the problems of atheism and Christianity in those books without making it a very heavy focus on Christianity. So that's kind of first my thoughts about why you shouldn't read Dostoevsky if you just started off as a Christian or started off in philosophy. But what I think the most powerful reason why you shouldn't read Dostoevsky is perhaps if you're really depressed, or if you're quite sad, or you're not too emotionally stable, and that's not to say as a critic to your life, definitely not, because we all go through very difficult times somewhere along our lines. But to be honest, Dostoevsky is one of the darkest novels you can ever read, and I wouldn't say I'm a complete literature geek and I read books every single day, but out of all the books I've read, I dare say that Dostoevsky is one of the darkest books that I've ever read in all the reading that I've done. And I've read Tolkien, Lewis, and a few other people like that, but Dostoevsky really gets to the heart of the human depravity, heart of the human struggle. He talks about the lack of meaning. He talks about the suffering of humans. In his books, you see kids dying from all sorts of diseases, kids trying to kill themselves because of their suffering. And you see absolute horrible and painful and tormented creatures and humans that you really want to sometimes think that you just want to put the book away, and forget about it, but you can't, because just that you've started the book, you can't finish it, because Dostoevsky does respond to these things. But what I'm trying to say here is that it's impossible for you to read Dostoevsky and not feel, at least to some degree, slightly depressed or slightly pessimistic about the world around you. And that's why I'm saying, if you're struggling from depression, or if you're struggling from these perhaps some mental problems or issues, I would not recommend you to read Dostoevsky. But that aside, why should you read Dostoevsky? And I think this is indeed one of the most important things we have to talk about, because, as I've said before, we all should read some bit of Dostoevsky, be it now or in the future, when you're happier, when you and not necessarily happy, but when you've settled yourself, you're more sure of yourself in your life, and when you're stronger in your walk with Christ, or you're stronger in your walk with philosophy, your atheism or something like that. When you've developed your worldview to at least a suitable level, and of course that's a very subjective thing, but when you're comfortable with reading Dostoevsky, with your mind knowing that you are perhaps comfortable with dealing with some of the greatest arguments for and against Christianity, then I'll highly recommend you to read Dostoevsky, because as a Christian or as an atheist, I don't think any book or any collection of books represents the human struggle, the human search for meaning in this universe, this human response to suffering. I don't think any book discusses, or any collection of works discusses these problems as deeply and as profoundly as Dostoevsky. And whether you're a Christian or an atheist, and I have one good atheist friend, Warren, on this channel, who, although he doesn't believe in God, he's more agnostic right now, but although he doesn't believe in God, does constantly tell me that Dostoevsky has influenced and shaped his life and his philosophy a lot. And in the same way, Dostoevsky has indeed influenced and shaped my approach to philosophy, theology, and my walk with Christ a lot. And as you can see, no matter who you are, Dostoevsky would speak to you, because Dostoevsky doesn't only present Christianity, he also presents atheism really powerfully. Ivan, or Pyotr, Stepan, Kirillov, all these characters, and I probably butchered a few of these names, or Rogozhin, all of these characters, they summarize and they present a case for atheism, perhaps while not a clear logical argument for atheism, provide such a powerful argument for atheism and such a powerful critique of religion that it's very difficult for us to just throw it away or just dismiss it, because Dostoevsky is a man who struggles with his faith. Throughout most of his works, apart from the Brothers Karamazov, I think, he is indeed a man of doubt. He has his faith on one side and atheism and skepticism on the other. And not to say that skepticism and faith are completely juxtaposed or are mutually exclusive, but he's faced with doubts and he's faced with issues, and these are conflicting the entire time. And he is writing through his characters, representing his doubts, representing his fears, but also representing his faith as well through the characters like Mushkin, Alyosha, and to some degree perhaps even Kirillov. But that's for another discussion when we go deeper into this series. But essentially what I'm trying to say here is that Dostoevsky would change your faith, would change your life and how you live. Regardless of whether you're a Christian, an atheist, agnostic, wherever you are, read Dostoevsky and you would just realize how beautiful the Russian culture is, how beautiful philosophy is, and how important these things are to your life. Whether you like Dostoevsky or should I say in a better way, whether you like Christianity or hate Christianity, Dostoevsky is for you. And it would indeed provide a great influence in your walk with philosophy, Christ, or anywhere you are in life. Dostoevsky would be for you. So I hope this video is helpful. To summarize quite briefly, if you're suffering from mental instability, if you're suffering from depression or something like that, Dostoevsky might not be the best book to turn to. That said, if you feel completely satisfied with your philosophical worldview, and also with your emotional state, feel free to read Dostoevsky. It would help your walk with Christ, would help your walk with philosophy, build your worldview, and strengthen your philosophy, and would challenge you like nothing ever has done before. Because to me, it has challenged and changed my life a lot. I've read loads of philosophical books. I've read loads of arguments, loads of philosophical, logical arguments against God, but none of them have ever challenged my faith as much as Dostoevsky's works, nor has any argument strengthened my faith as much as Dostoevsky's works as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. As you know, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe to give support to me, my channel, help it grow, and also help this series grow as well. Share it to your friends if any of your friends, or you want any of your friends to read Dostoevsky. Share them this video. See if this would spark their interest in Dostoevsky, just as Dostoevsky sparked my interest a few years back. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Stay safe. God bless. Have a great one, and goodbye. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.